Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and my dear children. My name is Divesh Wike, and it gives me immense pleasure to welcome all of you to the seventh week of Freedom Children's Literature Festival Season 2, brought to you by Alchemy Arts and Education Foundation. This charitable organization will facilitate performing arts education to the last mile, also provide performing platforms for truly deserving talents from various performing arts streams spanning across India. The main objective of Freedom is to encourage, motivate, and help children explore the world of literature through fun and experiential learning. Here at Freedom, it's not only the participants and the guests who get to participate in the event. You guys, the audience, get to join in too. We've all heard of famous poets like Yolen, Rabindranath Tagore, Nissim Ezekiel, Emily Dickinson, Alfred Tennyson, John Keats, and their poem. But let's have a fun contest to test your knowledge on these poets and their poems. Today, we have two questions lined up for the audience. Whoever gives the correct answer first will win a special prize. Don't worry, the prize will be delivered to you at your home. On to the performances. So far in Redan, we've had 156 performers. Now, let's welcome our 157th performer, Sri Lakshana. Rabindranath Tagore was only 8 years old when he wrote a poem. By the age of 16, his short story got published titled Banusuma. Now let's hear Sri Lakshana, who is going to perform Where the Mind is Without Fear, written by Rabindranath Tagore.
Good, e- Good evening, everyone. My name is Sri Lakshana, and today I'm going to be reciting a poem, Where the Mind is Without Fear, by Rabindranath Tagore. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, and where the world has not been broken into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come from the depth of truth, where the words come from the depth of truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reasons has not lost its way into the dreary desert sands of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee, into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. Thank you.
Thank you, Sri Lakshana. That was a splendid performance. Now, let us hear Neha, who will be performing Hope is the Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Do you know only 10 poems were published while she was alive? But her sister discovered 1,800 of Dickinson's poems in her bedroom. The stage is all yours, Neha.
Hello everyone, my name is Neha. Today I will be reciting the poem Hope is the Thing with Feathers, written by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that would abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I heard it in the chillest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Neha. That was a staggering performance. Nissim Ezekiel was an Indian Jewish poet, actor, playwright, editor, and art critic. Now, Shrikant will be performing Philosophy by Nissim Ezekiel.
Hi, I'm Stephen. Today I'm going to recite the poem Philosophy by Nissim Ezekiel. There is a place to which I often go, not by planning to, but by a flow, away from all existence, to a cold city whose winds are uncontrolled. Here, the mills of God are never slow. The landscape in its geological prime solves to show its quintessential flame. A million stars are dotted out. I think of each historic passage as a blink that happened to the sad eye of but residues of meaning still remain, as darkest mists meander through the vein. What's the final formula of light? I too really reject this clarity of sight. What cannot be explained cannot exist. The mundane language of the senses thinks its own interpretations. Common things become by the virtue of their commonness an argument against their nakedness that dies of good to find the truth of things. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikant. That was a beautiful performance. Now it's time for the quiz. But before going for this week's questions, let's take a quick look at the winners of this year's Read On Weekly Quiz. Can we have the AV, please?
Still, அவங்க கேட்குற questions தான் answer பண்ணணும்.
ஆமா.
ஆஃப் பண்ணிடலாமா?
Now, before going to the questions, there are a few rules. You will have to WhatsApp your answers to the number displayed.
Looks like our anchor for the first part of the show has had some technical issues. So I'll be repeating the rules for the questions. You'll have to WhatsApp your answers to the number displayed here, 9841327673. The first person who sends in their answer gets to win a special prize. Don't worry, the prize will be delivered home. When you are sending in your answers, you'll have to type your name and age. Answers typed in the YouTube live chat box will not be considered. Results will be announced at the end of today's performance. Repeating the number that you all need to WhatsApp your answer to, 9841327673.
Divyashri, you can take over.
You will have to WhatsApp your answers to the number displayed here, 9841 327 673. The first person who sends in their answers gets to win a special prize. Don't worry, the prize will be delivered home. When you are sending in your answers, you will have to type your name and age. Answers typed in the YouTube live chat box will not be considered. Results will be announced at the end of today's performance. Repeating the number that you all need to WhatsApp your answer to, 9841 327 673. The question is, who is the father of dramatic monologue? I'll repeat the question. Who is the father of dramatic monologue? Tagore's literary life extended over 60 years, with over 1,000 poems, nearly 24 playlists, 8 novels, volumes of short stories, and more than 2,000 songs. Let us hear the poem, The First Jasmines of Rabindranath Tagore by Sahana Karthik.
Hello everyone, my name is Sahana. Today I am going to recite a poem called The First Jasmines by Rabindranath Tagore. These jasmines, these white jasmines. I seem to remember the first day when I filled my hands with these jasmines, these white jasmines. I have loved the sunlight, the sky, and the green earth. I have heard the liquid murmur of the river through the darkness of midnight. Autumn sunsets have come to me at the bend of the road, the lonely waste, like a bride raising her veil to accept a lover. Yet my memory is still sweet, the memory of the first white jasmines that I held in my hand when I was a child. Many a glad day has come in my life, and I have laughed with merrymakers in festival nights. On grey mornings of rain, I have crooned many an idle song. I have worn round my neck the evening wreath of bakulas woven by the hand of love. Yet my heart is still sweet with the memory of the first fresh jasmines that I held in my hand when I was a child. Thank you.
Thank you, Sahana Karthik. That was an astonishing performance. Did you know that Bharadiyar was the first Indian poet whose works were nationalized? Let's hear a Tamil poem of Bharadiyar by Bhavna.
Good evening, I'm Bhavna Badri and I'm going to be presenting the poem Kalanukku Reithal by Bharadiyar. காலா உன்னை நான் சிறு புள்ளேன மதிக்கிறேன் என்னன் காலருகே வாடா சற்றே உன்னை மிதிக்கிறேன் அட காலா உன்னை நான் சிறு புள்ளேன மதிக்கிறேன் என்னன் காலருகே வாடா சற்றே உன்னை மிதிக்கிறேன் வேலாயுத விருதினை மனதில் பதிக்கிறேன் நல்ல வேதாந்த முறைத்த ஞானியர் தமை எண்ணி துதிக்கிறேன் ஆதிமுலா வென்று கதறிய யானையை காக்குவேன் நின்ற முதலைக்கு நேர்ந்ததை மறந்தாயோ கெட்ட மூடனே அட காலா உன்னை நான் சிறு புள்ளேன மதிக்கிறேன் என் காலருகே வாடா சற்றே உன்னை மிதிக்கிறேன் ஆலா முந்தவனதி சரணென்ற மார்க்கண்டன் தனதாவி கவர போய் நீ பட்ட பாட்டினை யாருக்குவேன் இங்கு 4000 காதம் விட்டுகள் உன்னை விதிக்கிறேன் ஹரி நாராயணனாக நின் முன்னே உதிக்கிறேன் அட காலா உன்னை நான் சிறு புள்ளேன மதிக்கிறேன் என் காலருகே வாடா சற்றே விதிக்கிறேன். தேங்க்யூ. நன்றி.
Thank you, Bhavna. That was a remarkable performance. Rabindranath Tagore is famous by many names. Gurudev, Kabi Guru, Vishwa Kabi, and often referred as the Bard of Bengal. Now, let's hear another exquisite poem of Tagore on the nature of love by A.S. Tarun.
Hi all, I'm Tarun. Today I'm going to perform the poem on the nature of love by Rabindranath Tagore. The night is black, the forest has no end. A million people thread it in a million ways. We have faith to keep in the darkness. But where or with whom? Of that we are unaware. But we have this faith that a lifetime's bliss will appear any minute, smile upon its lips. Scents, touches, sounds, snatches of songs, brushes, passes, and give us lead for shocks. Then, for adventure, there's a flash of lightning. Or I see that instant I fall in love with. I call that person and cry, whose life is blessed. For your sake, such miles have I traversed. All others who come close and moved off in the darkness, I don't know if they exist or not. Thank you.
Thank you, Tarun. That was a wonderful performance. Now, I would like to take your leave. Rest of the program will be anchored by my friend and co-host Laya Raja. Over to you, Laya Raja.
Thank you, Divyashri. Good evening, all. My name is Laya Raja, and today I will be anchoring the second part of this program. On to the performances. This week we have 12 participants performing. Our 8th performer for the day is Kushal with the poem Freedom by Rabindranath Tagore. On the occasion of Tagore's 150th birthday, an anthology of all his works were published in Bengali. This includes all versions of his works and fills up to 80 volumes. You can take over, Kushal.
Hello everybody, my name is Kushal and today I'm going to be reciting the poem Freedom by Rabindranath Tagore. Freedom from fear is the freedom I claim for you, my motherland. Freedom from the burden of the ages, bending your head, breaking your back, blinding your eyes to the beckoning call of the future. Freedom from the shackles of slumber, wherewith you fasten yourself in night's stillness. Mistrusting the star that speaks of truth's adventurous paths. Freedom from the anarchy of destiny, whole sails are weakly yielded to the blind, uncertain winds. And the helm to a hand, ever rigid and cold as death. Freedom from the insult of dwelling in a puppet's world, where movements are started through brainless wires, repeated through mindless habits, where figures wait with patience and obedience to the master of show, to be stirred into a mimicry of life. Thank you.
Thank you, Kushal. That was a splendid performance. Emily Elizabeth Dickinson was an American poet. Little known during her life, she has since been regarded as one of the most important figures in American poetry. Next up, we have Shaina with the poem There Is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson. Take it away, Shaina.
Shayna's audio is not coming. Shayna, we can't hear you. Can you please just check your audio? Now we can hear you. Might be you can increase the volume and then start all over again.
Hi, my name is Shena. I am going to recite the poem There is Another Sky by Emily Dickinson. There is another sky, ever serene and fair. There is another sunshine, though it's be darkness there. Never mind faded forest Austin, never mind silent fields. Here is a little forest, those leaves are evergreen. Here is a brighter garden where not a frost has been. In its unfading flowers, I hear the brighter bee hum. Pretty, my brother, into the garden come. Thank you. That was an awesome performance. Thank you, Shana. Now let's move on to the second question of the day. The second question of the day is: this Indian poet and playwright was one of the foundational figures in post-colonial Indian literature. Who is it? Repeating the question: this Indian poet and playwright was one of the foundational figures in post-colonial Indian literature. Who is it? Next up, we have Anahita. She will be rendering the poem Out in the Morning by Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson was also known as the New England mystic. Evidence suggests that she lived much of her life in isolation. She was known for her reluctance to greet guests or later in life to leave her bedroom. The stage is all yours, Anahita.
Good evening to one and all present here. I'm Anahita. Today I'm here to recite a poem called Out of the Morning by Emily Dickinson. Will there really be a morning? Is there such a thing as day? Could I see it from the mountains if I were as tall as they? Has it feet like water lilies? Has it feather like a bird? Is it brought from famous countries of which I have never heard? Ho, some scholar! Ho, some sailor! Ho, some wise man from the skies! Please to tell a little pilgrim where the place called morning lies. Thank you.
Wow, Anahita! I think this poem gave an expression of hope during these difficult times. Our next performer is Anshuman. He will be telling the poem The Earth Day by Jane Yolen. Jane Yolen is an author of more than 350 books. She is known for weaving folklore, fantasy, and historical events into captivating stories for children and young adults. Over to you, Anshuman.
Hello everyone, I am Anshuman. I am going to recite a poem by Jane Yolen, The Earth Day. I am the earth and the earth is me, each blade of grass, each honey tree, each bit of mud and stick and stone is blood and muscle and skin and bone. And just as I need every bit of me to make my body fit, so earth needs grass, stone and tree and the things that grow here naturally. So that's why we celebrate this day. That's why across the world we say, as long as life as dear as free, I am the earth and this is me. Thank you.
Thank you, Anshuman, for reminding us that as long as life as dear as free, I am the earth and the earth is me. Next up, we have Ananya J with one of my all-time favorite poems, Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Her poems are unique for the era in which she wrote. They have short lines, usually without titles, and used unconventional capitalization and punctuation. Stage is all yours, Ananya.
Hi, I'm Ananya, and today I'm going to be performing Hope is a Thing with Feathers by Emily Dickinson. Hope is a thing with feathers that preaches in the soul and sings a tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and song must be the storm that could have bashed the little bird that gets so many warm. I've heard it on the never in extremity it asked a crumb of me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ananya, for that poem in which hope is described as a bird that dwells in our soul and springs into action when we are feeling down. Our last performer for the day is Biber with the poem Ode to Autumn by John Keats. John Keats was an English poet. This poem's theme is the power of nature and the consolation of beauty. You can take over, Biber.
Hello everybody, my name is Vaibhav Hariprasad and today I will be reciting a poem called Ode to Autumn by John Keats. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round that new sun. To bend with apples the mossed cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core. To swell the gourd and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel, to set budding more and still more. Later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease. For summer has overbrimmed their clammy sails. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy snow? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor. Thy hair soft, lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow, sound asleep. Drowsed with the fumes of poppies, while thy hook spreads the next swart and all its twined flowers, and sometimes like a glitter thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a silent press with patient look. Thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too, while barred clouds plume the soft dying day and touch stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows borne aloft, or sinking as a light wind lives or dies, and full-grown lambs loud bleats from hilly bourne, heads fleeted slim, and now with treble soft. The red breast whistles from a garden croft, gathering swallows twitter in the skies. Thank you.
Thank you, Biber, for such an excellent poem. And that brings us to the end of today's performances. Before we end the show, here are the results of today's quiz. The answer to the first question is Robert Browning, and the winner is Anahita. The answer to the second question is Nissim Ezekiel, and we don't have a winner yet. Congratulations, winners. With that, we end today's program. I hope you had a great time. We will be back next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. and on Alchemy Kids Theatre YouTube channel for another set of amazing performances. Till then, take care.